Have you ever had somebody do this to you? Your face is wider. Your mouth is bigger. Your eyes are smaller. Probably not. Anybody in this room a twin? People actually say these things. They don't think about how that sounds to a person. This is nothing you'd say to anybody else. But it's something people say to twins all the time. People a lot of times wonder what it's like to be a twin. Today I'm going to tell you some of what it's like to be a twin. My sister is Chris. She actually works for Department of Water Resources also. A lot of you know her or have met her. Some of you knew about her before you met her. Maybe some of you didn't. So I want to tell you all about the comparisons, the identity issues, mix-ups, and the questions that you get when you're a twin. So a lot of times people will say to us when they've just met the other, wait a minute, stand together. And you're under glass, and it's really uncomfortable, but people do it. I can understand it. They're trying to just put the right name with the right face, but you feel uncomfortable. So I will tell you that right now. That's one thing what it's like to be a twin. Comparisons started early. My mom had some good advice from friends who'd had twins. She said people will ask you all the time, and they did, to compare your children. Which one's smarter? Which one's meaner? Which one's, I mean, anything. They'd ask anything. And labels are not anybody's friend. I mean, even the labels we put on ourselves can sometimes hold us back. But people ask you, as a parent of a twin, who's this, who's that? So my mom had good advice not to cave into that. She said they're both smart. They both have their moods. You know, I mean, that was good. I really appreciate that. And growing up, we were actually friends with each other. We knew twins who would probably, if one dropped dead, the other would step over the body because their parents were constantly saying, why aren't you like Tim in this? Why aren't you like Matt? You know, he does so much better on this test. They didn't like each other. Oh, people also think that twins should marry twins. That's another one, but anyway. The identity issues, so many, but people, a lot of times growing up, we'd hear, hey, Chris. And Chris would turn around and they go, see, that's Chris. They think that if they tell one of us something, we both know it. They will say, this kills me, they project the identity crisis onto you by saying, do you ever look in the mirror and think you're her? No, because I know my right and my left. But anyway, I didn't know till I was out of college and working how much people use names. Hi Tariq. Hi Tuan. Hi Ramesh. I didn't know that. I thought people just said hi. I go around saying hi, hi, hi. I didn't know. I didn't know that people use names that much because nobody ever did that with us. The mix-ups. As I mentioned, we both work for the Department of Water Resources, and we meet people who maybe I've seen a few times around at work, or if I go to where she works, I get a lot of hellos. And we try to be good ambassadors and say, hi, you know, be friendly. You may not know the name. I didn't know that was an issue, like I said, until a certain while ago. But we'd say hello and be friendly. People can tell sometimes, though, that something's not quite right. And sometimes we're not even good ambassadors because they go, I saw you the other day and you look like you're mad at me. Really? You know, I feel like I'm going around like a fool saying hi to anybody who looks at me sideways. But, and we'll even tell the other person with a description, hey, I saw somebody, they're about, you know, a couple inches shorter than us. They're about, you know, trying to say who I saw. Somebody said to say hello. So I normally don't stop people. If they just say hello, I'll just let it roll. I don't have, hi Chris. I'm not going to go, actually I'm Tracy. And I don't want to correct people all the time. But sometimes I have to stop someone. I was on the train one time, the light rail train going downtown, and somebody started a conversation. Hey Chris. I said, hey, you know, I'm all about being honest, right? But I said, you know, hey. And then they went, So listen, on that meeting yesterday, and they launched into something for about, I don't know, like a minute and a half, and I went, I gotta stop you. I'm actually Tracy. I'm sorry. I'm her sister. I'm her twin. I don't know if you've met me before or heard about me, but anyway, and they felt really stupid, and I hadn't meant to let them go on, but you know, you think, well, I'm not gonna correct everybody every time they say anything. There's times where we may have convinced someone too well that we're real similar. I remember going to a college interview, an interview at college, as we reached our last year in college. DWR came on campus, and back when they used to still do that, and they interviewed a whole bunch of people, probably 60 people in the week. And I remember meeting 2 people who were doing the interview, and they said, have a seat. And then they said, now, you realize, and I don't know, those of you who work for the state, you're always cautioned against telling people the contents of the questions. You know, it's not to your benefit to tell anybody anyway, but they're saying, no, you realize that you can only take this exam one time. I said, yeah. Okay, but weren't you here earlier? No. They looked, oh my gosh, yeah, so they really thought that somebody came around for a second shot at the job, which I thought was hilarious. Art would tell the story too. When he asked me out, I said, yeah, sure. You know, I had to think about that, but yeah, okay. And I met him through Toastmasters, just saying. But he came to the door the night that we were supposed to go out. And he knocked on the door, and Chris answered it, and he goes, like all of a sudden, like, uh-oh, I don't want to start the date saying, are you? And he goes, and Chris saved me because she said, Tracy's almost ready, come on in. He was so relieved. So some of the questions that we get are, what, you're a twin? Why didn't you tell me? Now, I don't know if most of you, do you guys go around and when you meet a person, you give them their whole family tree? No, of course not. But people think, what? Why didn't you tell me? Do you ever play tricks? Well, no, not on purpose. Chris and I, actually, being twins is wasted on us. We are not tricksters. We've never deliberately played a trick except once in 6th grade, and that did not go very well. People will ask, how do I tell you apart? The honest answer is you have to find your own way. Quietly and to yourself, you don't have to tell me. But we do deliberately wear our hair pretty different most of the time because it's easier to have somebody say her hair is longer than her nose is bigger.
Right.
And what's it like to be a twin? Well, I gotta tell you, I don't know any other. I don't know what it's like not to be a twin, but I do know that it's been really great having someone next to me for especially new situations and new experiences. But yeah, I really appreciate that. I gotta show you, this is my sister and me a couple years ago. I don't know if you guys can see that. So we are fairly similar. And I gotta tell you one more thing, just before I go. This is a true confession. I meet twins, I geek out too. Mr. Toastmaster.